Have you ever witnessed a court-martial that ended in unexpected laughter? Specialist Jake Miller was facing serious charges. Theft of government property, specifically, a military generator worth $80,000. Command wanted to make an example of him. The prosecution painted him as a reckless soldier who'd stolen equipment for personal use. They had security footage showing Miller loading the generator onto a truck without authorization. Open and shut case, or so everyone thought. Miller represented himself, which usually means you're screwed. Most soldiers who skip the lawyer end up with maximum sentences. But Miller had this weird confidence about him. When his turn came to present evidence, he stood up with a stack of paperwork 3 inches thick, started reading regulation after regulation in this monotone voice. According to Army Regulation 750-1 subsection 4.2.7, equipment operators are required to perform immediate maintenance on malfunctioning critical systems. The judge looked confused. What does this have to do with theft, specialist? Getting there, sir. Miller pulled out photographs. The generator's control panel looked like it had been hit by lightning. Wires melted, circuits fried, completely destroyed. On the morning in question, I discovered these critical safety violations during my routine inspection. The unit was creating electrical hazards that could have killed someone. The prosecution objected. Your Honor, he still stole the generator. Miller smiled. Actually, sir, I was following proper protocol. Army Regulation 75-43 requires immediate removal of dangerous equipment from the motor pool. The nearest authorized repair facility was the civilian contractor 40 miles away. He'd driven the broken generator to a repair shop, paid for emergency fixes with his own credit card because the motor pool was backlogged for months, had all the receipts, work orders, even photographs of the repair process. But here's where it gets interesting. Miller had documented everything with obsessive detail. Timestamps, regulation citations, even weather conditions that day. He'd followed every rule perfectly. The judge asked, why didn't you inform your chain of command? I did, sir. Filed emergency equipment reports with my squad leader, platoon sergeant, and company commander, all within 2 hours of discovering the hazard. Miller had created a paper trail that would make accountants jealous. Every form filled out correctly. Every regulation cited properly. Every safety procedure followed to the letter. The prosecution was scrambling. Their theft case was falling apart. This wasn't some rogue soldier stealing equipment. This was a by-the-book response to a legitimate emergency. Then Miller dropped the bombshell. Your Honor, I'd like to call my first witness. In walked the civilian contractor carrying a massive folder of documentation. Turns out the generator hadn't just been broken. It had been leaking diesel fuel into electrical components for weeks. The repair shop owner testified it was the most dangerous piece of equipment he'd ever seen. This generator was a bomb waiting to go off, he said. Whoever removed it from service probably saved lives. The safety officer's face went white. He'd been signing off on inspections without actually checking anything. If Miller hadn't removed that generator, someone could have been electrocuted or killed in an explosion. But Miller wasn't finished. He pulled out his final piece of evidence. A letter of commendation from the base fire chief. Apparently Miller had personally called the fire department to inspect the motor pool for other electrical hazards. They'd found 6 more safety violations. Judge called a recess. When court reconvened, the prosecution looked defeated. Miller had turned a theft charge into a safety awareness presentation. Everyone was laughing at the absurdity. Here's this kid who'd saved lives by following regulations nobody else bothered to read. The judge finally spoke. Specialist Miller, in 15 years on this bench, I've never seen someone follow military procedures so thoroughly they accidentally committed the perfect crime. More laughter from the gallery. Even the prosecutors were smiling. All charges dismissed. Furthermore, I'm recommending you for commendation for preventing potential casualties through proactive safety awareness. The courtroom erupted. Miller saluted, gathered his paperwork, and walked out like nothing happened. Later learned he'd been studying regulations for years, had the entire manual memorized, used his knowledge to help other soldiers navigate bureaucratic problems. Command tried to recruit him for the legal office. He declined, said he preferred fixing things to arguing about them. The generator? Fixed and returned to service within a week. Miller got promoted ahead of schedule. His regulation knowledge became legendary throughout the base. 3 months later, that same safety officer was reassigned to a desk job. New policy required actual inspections instead of just signatures. Miller's emergency response became the standard procedure for equipment failures. The courtroom recording became training material for military lawyers. Shows what happens when soldiers actually read the regulations they're supposed to follow.